Look at your phone right now. Every message, every bank transfer, and every video you stream feels wireless and instant. But that's an illusion. Almost everything on the internet depends on a network of cables thinner than a garden hose lying at the bottom of the ocean. Not satellites, cables. Thin, fiber optic lines stretching nearly 1,000,000 miles. Around 99% of all international internet traffic goes through them. If a few break, entire countries can go dark and trillions in transactions freeze. And yet, these cables snap all the time. So if they are this vulnerable, why does the digital world still depend on them? Satellites seem like the obvious alternative. Thousands are already orbiting Earth, but they can't replace the cables. A single modern subsea cable can transmit more data per second than thousands of satellites combined. The global economy needs enormous amounts of data moving continuously between continents. But that data also needs to arrive fast. Not just fast, instantaneous. Because a signal traveling up to a satellite and back creates a massive delay. In tech, that lag is called latency. Cables take a shorter, more direct path. A difference of just a few milliseconds can cost financial systems millions of dollars. So the internet still depends on cables lying at the bottom of the ocean. But down there, they break more often than you'd think. Most undersea cables sit completely exposed on the seabed. In shallow waters, dragging ship anchors and heavy fishing equipment can snag a line and snap it in seconds. In deeper regions, underwater landslides and earthquakes can crush them without warning. A cable breaks somewhere in the world every 2 to 3 days. Most people never hear about it, not because failures are rare, because the internet was built to survive them. When an underwater volcanic eruption near Tonga severed the country's only major international undersea cable in 2022, the nation plummeted into total digital isolation for more than a month. Emergency satellite links existed, but Tonga's entire internet demand was too much for them to handle. And Tonga isn't an exception. When cables fail, everything depends on whether another route exists. So why do most failures stay invisible? The answer is rerouting. When one cable goes down, traffic is pushed onto other cables by autonomous systems within milliseconds. Most of the time, users never realize anything happened, and the network has more room to do this than most people expect. At any given moment, less than 30% of the cable network's potential capacity is actually in use on major routes. The rest sits dark, unlit fiber held in reserve as a strategic buffer. Cables are even landed miles apart from each other deliberately, a strategy the industry calls route diversity, so a single anchor or earthquake can't take out multiple lines at once. The internet was engineered to absorb damage, but every reroute consumes the only slack left in the system. The network survives, but its margin shrinks, and in some parts of the world, that margin is almost gone. Not by accident, by geography. Undersea cables are forced into narrow, predictable corridors. They cluster around coastlines, shipping lanes, shallow continental shelves, and strategic waterways. Think of it like a highway system. Across open land, traffic spreads across dozens of roads. But at a major bridge or tunnel, everything compresses into a few lanes. The internet works the same way. Huge amounts of global traffic are funneled through a handful of critical choke points. These are the places where the system runs out of options. Because when multiple cables inside the same corridor fail, all of that traffic is suddenly competing for the same remaining routes. If you wanted to take down the global internet, you wouldn't need to sail across every ocean. You'd just need to target a few specific coordinates. One of the most important choke points on Earth is the Red Sea. Nearly all data moving between Europe, the Middle East, and Asia is forced through this narrow corridor before branching back out across different continents. Under normal conditions, nobody notices, but in 2024, this was suddenly put to the test. Despite the geopolitical anxiety surrounding underwater sabotage, most cable failures are far less dramatic. usually caused by ordinary maritime activity. In 2024, 3 major undersea cables in the Red Sea were severed after the Rupamar, a heavily compromised cargo vessel, abandoned by its crew and left drifting out of control for days, dragged its anchor across the seabed. In a single incident, roughly a quarter of all traffic moving between Europe and Asia through that corridor was instantly cut off. But the internet didn't go dark. It did exactly what it was engineered to do. It rerouted. Traffic was pushed onto alternative paths, including routes stretching thousands of miles around the entire continent of Africa to reach European and Asian networks. The system survived, but at a cost. Every reroute piled pressure onto alternative paths that were already running hot. Traffic was rationed. Critical corporate and financial traffic was pushed to the front of the line. Everyday consumer traffic was forced to wait in a digital traffic jam. And clearing that traffic jam isn't as simple as dispatching a roadside repair crew. In the Red Sea, the damage was done in seconds. The recovery took months. Fixing a broken cable is far slower than breaking one. Across the entire world, fewer than 30 specialized repair ships are available to maintain the global subsea cable network. Finding the break isn't simple either. A technique called optical time-domain reflectometry is used. A light pulse is fired down the fiber, and exactly when they bounce back is measured. The fracture point is determined to within meters across thousands of miles of ocean. Then come permits, maritime jurisdictions, territorial waters, international approvals. In many cases, the administrative process takes longer than the engineering itself. Once cleared, a vessel may need days just to reach the damaged area. Weather creates additional delays. Storms can halt operations for weeks. After reaching the break location, the vessel hooks the cable from the seabed and hauls it onto the deck. Deep inside a climate-controlled shipboard lab, technicians use robotic splicers to fuse microscopic glass cores, each thinner than a human hair, while the vessel rolls with a swell. And because repair ships are limited, damaged cables often sit in a physical queue, waiting their turn. Meanwhile, the rest of the network must continue carrying the load. The problem is becoming more difficult over time. Much of the infrastructure installed during the internet expansion boom of the 1990s and early 2000s is approaching the end of its design life. The system still works, but the margin for error is shrinking. And once a network is under strain, the question is no longer just engineering. It's who controls what's left. Undersea cables are no longer just telecom infrastructure. Increasingly, they're being financed, built, and owned by technology giants like Google, Meta, and Amazon. Ownership is leverage. When private entities control the infrastructure, they control exactly who gets access and how data is routed. At the same time, governments increasingly view undersea cables as strategic assets, infrastructure tied directly to national security. China is financing alternative routes. Western nations are securing existing ones. The map of the internet is slowly being redrawn beneath the ocean. Yet, there's no international governing body for undersea cables comparable to what the IAEA provides for nuclear energy. The seabed operates in a regulatory gray zone. The deep ocean is remote, dark, and extraordinarily difficult to monitor. A cable can be damaged in international waters while leaving no definitive proof of who was responsible. No declarations of war are required. No missiles need to be launched. A critical digital artery can simply stop working. And when it does, the system you depend on every day absorbs the damage quietly. Until it can't. Because every message you send, every payment you make, and every video you stream leaves your hand and immediately plunges into the sea. It's a world built on armored glass, routed through deep ocean mud, silently repairing itself in the background. The illusion feels entirely wireless until the next line snaps. Blueprint revealed.